was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. Winning the popular vote was very nice, I will tell you. It's a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room with unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have been incredible. They've made the journey with me, and we're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud of your vote. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people.
It's Donald Trump declaring victory last night at Mar-a-Lago, and he was thanking the American people and actually at one point said, look at what happened. This is crazy, which of course is a sentiment that was probably shared by Kamala Harris and many people on the Harris campaign as well. He talked about fixing our borders and also talked about helping our country heal. We will that will remain to be seen. You'll remember after the assassination attempt, he said he was going to be in a more healing mode. That lasted about half an hour.
Right.
So who knows? We will now look and see if such a wide margin will have more of a moderating effect.
Well, NBC News projects he won the state of Wisconsin, giving him the electoral votes needed for victory. It's the third battleground state he flipped after winning Georgia and Pennsylvania, while Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona still hang in the balance. Joining the conversation we have, Rogers Chair in the American Presidency at Vanderbilt University, historian Jon Meacham. MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle is here. Former Secretary of Homeland Security in the Obama administration, Jeh Johnson, joins us. And former United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julian Castro, joins us here. Good to have you all.
Julian, thank you so much for being with us. We just got to start with really one of the headlines out of here. 45% of Hispanics voted for Donald Trump, an even higher number than the 44% that voted for George W. Bush in 2004. What made the difference for Donald Trump and Hispanics?
Well, I think we have to start with a word that you've heard over and over about the Hispanic community. It's not monolithic, right? And you have people of different national origin backgrounds, folks who have been here for, 10 generations versus folks who are more recent immigrants. So it's very diverse in its own right. I think that it was an economic message. Largely, the Latino community is a working class community. You had complaints about inflation. Every single speech that he gave, Donald Trump said over and over, when I was president, we had the greatest economy. I mean, how many times did we hear him say that? And I think that seeped in. I think people believed that. I think they were responding to that. On top of that, I think, oftentimes Democrats had assumed that the immigration message in and of itself would make the difference. But this was really, I believe, centered around an economic message that appealed there. And and that, and I am sure that when we go back and look at the investments they made, that in this cycle, as compared to cycles before, they invested more in ads in door knocking and outreach to the Latino community that I bet ended up making a difference in places like Pennsylvania.
Mike, it goes back to the old Carville statement, it's the economy, stupid. You heard a lot of voters talking about inflation. Yes, inflation had gone down to a very manageable rate, but still, you know, the comparisons between how much eggs, butter, groceries cost in 2024 compared to 2020 had an impact on voters, and Hispanic voters, white voters, black voters, all voters.
It had an impact about 4 or 5 times larger than the abortion ruling did, Joe, because the Democrats somehow have forgotten the lived economy of their citizens, of the people they represent. The lived economy occurs in grocery stores. It occurs at gas stations. Every single day, you see people filling up their tanks half full because of the cost of gas. You see people cutting back on groceries because of the cost of groceries. And yet the Democrats kept talking and talking and talking about this booming economy, the strongest economy in the world, which it is. But it's not the lived economy of their constituents who lived it every day, and many of them suffered through it every day. And by the way, I'm glad that you mentioned just a few minutes ago 1964. Because 1964, as most of us remember, because we're involved in politics, and I'm older than all of you put together, probably, the Republican Party, led by Barry Goldwater, was wiped out. Wiped out. 4 years later, Richard Nixon won the presidency. So if the Democrats would get their act together, led by some common sense people who stop hectoring their constituents over things that really don't matter in the long run, don't matter to their children's education, to their health care for their families, to the cost of groceries, things that don't matter, putting them up on the priority scale, the Democrats will be a lot better off.
Well, and again, we talk about that wipeout in 1964 of Goldwater. Yeah, 4 years later, Richard Nixon won. 2 years later, though, the Reagan Revolution started in earnest. You had Republicans winning in the South for the first time. And again, you can go to 84 when Democrats were wiped out. 2 years later, they win the Senate. I could go through the list time and time again. That's just, there's a give and take in American politics. You can even go back to 2016, Trump wins. 2018, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House again. 2020, Biden wins. But 22, Mike Johnson is Speaker. 24, Donald Trump is President of the United States. And it looks like he's very Republican Washington to work with. If there's overreach, then Democrats can be sure in 2026 they will have a shot. But I will say they're going to have to take a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror and say, do we want to be a party that gives up on 90% of people in rural America? Do we want to be a party that gives up on a lot of people out in the suburbs? They've got to make some tough decisions.
Yeah, it turned out, based on the result last night, that saying Donald Trump is bad, which I think we agree he is in many ways, is not a winning campaign message in America. In fact, Donald Trump grew his margins in 90% of the counties where he ran last night, grew his margins in 90% of the counties, and made it really close in some blue states like Illinois and in New Jersey. John Meacham, it's a little early for the long lens of history. I understand this race was called for Donald Trump less than 2 hours ago, but what are your thoughts this morning?
Well, you can't be for democracy only when your side wins. And I think the values and the principles that so many people have articulated over the past 8 years, and particularly since the post-2020 period, have to practice what has been preached. And I think what you see, certainly the feeling early on in the country, is that the folks who are worried about democratic institutions, lowercase d, are acting in accordance with those principles. We've had 59 presidential elections in American history, and only 15 of them have unfolded in the electorate that voted yesterday. So more than 2/3 of our elections unfolded at a time when either women couldn't vote or black folks couldn't vote. Immigration was even more restrictive. So this is a long story. And what I would say, and Joe and Willie, we've talked about this a lot, and Mike, the question now is all our Republican friends who said, and I wish I had a quarter for every time someone said this over the last 12 months or so, is, yeah, I don't like the way Trump acts, but I liked his policies. You guys, second point, which I also want a quarter for, you guys exaggerate this whole guardrails thing. Well, now we'll find out. And if they were right, and I pray they were, and I don't say that lightly, I genuinely want to have been wrong, that the constitutional order was that this election result put it too much at risk. But now it's on those whom the country has entrusted power to prove that we were wrong. And look, the success of an incumbent Congress, the success of an incumbent White House is also the country's success. And so I think we take a deep breath. I think citizenship itself is about the hard work, as St. Paul said, and President Kennedy used in the coda to his inaugural address, being patient in tribulation. And there are a lot of people this morning who are waking up who feel that the world is ending. There are a lot of people waking up who think, okay, we're back on the right track. The point of America is that we should all be able to have those different views, but move forward together. And I'm not trying to preach here, but that's what democracy is. It's disagreeing and dissenting within a common vernacular. And the country's made a very clear decision. And now we'll find out if, in fact, the folks who have been entrusted with power are worthy of that power.
Donald Trump wins overwhelmingly. It's looking like he's on track to win all 7 of those battleground states. We've also been talking about Republicans taking control of the Senate, and we have another call to make now. NBC News can project that John Tester of Montana has lost his Senate seat to Tim Sheehy, the Republican in the state of Montana, adding another Republican, Joe, in the Senate column as well.
And we still have 3 that are being contested in the upper Midwest, in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We'll be following those tallies. Those are going to be very close right now, but Republicans already have the majority in the United States Senate. Obviously allows them to appoint justices, also get Donald Trump's elections for cabinet officials through without much resistance at all. I do want to go back to John Meacham and just add one more point, John. You know, I'm with you. When over the course of this campaign, when Donald Trump said he was going to use the military to arrest Democrats, he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited 60 Minutes piece, when his lawyer said he could use SEAL Team 6 to assassinate his political opponents. And everybody said, oh, he didn't say that. And then you'd show them the clip and they go, well, he doesn't mean it. I'm with you. I mean, if he doesn't mean it, if that was just strong talk during the campaign, then you are right.